as far as the phenomenon in general, it
Yeah.
starts a long time ago, back when I was single digits and I was a borderline insomniac, laying awake at night, staring at a ceiling, and just letting I've always had racing thoughts, and so that's what would happen. I would lay awake at night, staring at the ceiling, just thinking. And then I started thinking about infinity and the concept of it and what it means in relationship to my existence. And I'll be honest, like, it's one of the most terrifying things that you can think about, is the infinite amount of time that's ahead of us and the infinite amount of time that's behind us. How does that work? But then I started thinking about the infinite amount of space around us. If it is infinite, I can't say I know for sure. But then I started thinking about, is it really that empty? Is it really just us? And so then that's when you start thinking about, well, maybe there's another version of us somewhere out there.
All Things Unexplained is free to watch on YouTube and listen to wherever you get your podcasts. If you would like to support our show, you can visit our YouTube store. Additionally, you can find us on Venmo under All Things Unexplained. Be sure to check out our website, allthingsunexplained.com. All proceeds from the sales of Dr. Mounce's books on Amazon and Audible also go straight to our show.
I am here to discuss the so-called flying saucers.
We know now that in the early years of the 20th century, this world was being watched closely by intelligences greater than man's.
Did the CIA write Wind of Change by the Scorpions?
As humans busied themselves about the various concerns, they were scrutinized and studied.
Dr. Loeb, what percentage chance do you give it that you have indeed uncovered extraterrestrial or non-human technology?
With infinite complacence, people went about their affairs, yet across an immense ethereal gulf, intellects vast and unsympathetic threw their plans against us.
Prior to your abduction, did you believe in UFOs or any sort of alien life form?
All things unexplained.
So some of that, I think, sir, we'll save for closed session.
Hello, all you unexplained ones. Thank you so much for joining us wherever you are in the universe. If you are listening to us live, thank you. We would love to take any of your questions or comments. If you do have a question for us tonight, please do put it in all caps so that we can see it. We'll try and pull it into our show. If you are following us on YouTube or Spotify, wherever you're listening to us, please do like, subscribe. We appreciate all of your support. It keeps us going. We could not do this show without our supporters. So again, thank you. We are confident that you all are coming to us tonight with open hearts and open minds, and we promise to give you a good show. We have got our friend DJ from Calling All Beings joining us. What's up, DJ?
What's up, party girl? How are you?
Hey, I'm doing well. Happy to be here. I, of course, am CJ Derringer, the host of the show, along with my co-hosts, Dr. Tim Mounce and Smitty Neves. Hey, fellas.
What's up?
And then the reason that we are all here tonight is our friend Dan Warren is joining us. He has become the go-to guy for all UFO, UAP news. Dan, thank you for joining us this evening.
Thank you for such a wonderful title and introduction. Thank you.
You use that. Put that on your business card. The go-to guy for UFOs. I think you should. All right. It is a big day in the world. A big, big day. We had the solar eclipse happen today. We have the NCAA basketball finals happening tonight. So if you're watching us, I know you really love us at this point because that game kicks off soon. But you don't need to watch it to the end. It's fine. Or put that on the background. Keep listening to us. Before we get started, quick poll. Who's taking it tonight, guys? Is it number 1 Purdue or number 1 UConn? What's your thought? I'm going to you first, Dr. Mounce.
Well, I hate to say it, but I got to go with UConn. Why? Because I picked against UConn for the last 2 years in a row, and all they do is keep winning. So I could choose Purdue and be contrarian, but at the bottom of my heart, I know that freaking UConn is going to win.
All right, Dan, any other thoughts on that?
I'm going to go with UConn as well, due to legacy alone. It's just their winning program, have been for a long time, and they will be for a long time. So why would you pick against them.
All right. That's 2 for UConn. DJ.
Big East Brotherhood, of course, from the neighboring state there in New York. So yeah, I have to also go UConn. It's an amazing program on both the men's and women's side.
Smitty.
I'm going to say the big man in the middle is going to be hard to beat. I'm going with Purdue.
Oh, all
Ooh.
right. There we go. Gary
Except
thought
maybe
it was
by a more
all gonna be-
nimble big man on UConn's team. And I want to follow up on that with Dan and DJ, maybe Smitty, but I don't think he has much input on this, but he might. Is Kentucky going to get UConn's coach, since we're talking about this?
I'll chime in and say no idea. I have none.
You can't predict the future yet? I mean,
I'm going to go. I got a
these things?
50-50 chance. I'm going to go with yes.
There we go.
Okay.
You heard it here first. What do you think, DJ?
I mean, I would expect that they would. I mean, I think it would be really, really hard to replace Cal. I mean, especially not if it's somebody who's like a UK star. So I guess I'll go no.
Well, they got to hire somebody. We'll see. But hey, Ole Miss
What do you
already
think?
locked up our coach, so I'm going to end it at that. Not getting ours. Not getting Chris Beard. Sorry.
All right. Awesome. Okay, well, let's dive into the eclipse. Anybody see it today? Anybody take the time out with your eclipse glasses and check it out?
I saw it for a full 4 seconds because we had cloud cover that was really thick. So it peeked
Oh.
out for just one little bit and then it went away.
Oh,
But I got to see
man.
it a few years ago. We were in the total eclipse area pathway about 4 or 5 years ago. And I got to spend that one with my family looking at it because they let the kids out of school that day just for it. So I got to stay home. I started building them a swing set where I was digging footers for a large 4x4 post to go into ground that turned into their treehouse and play set, and then
Oh,
got to go watch it. So there's significance to my playground in my backyard because it was the
yes.
day it started the day the eclipse happened.
That's amazing. What a great story. And what lucky kids to have all of that in their backyard. How about you, DJ? Did you get a chance to?
Unfortunately, no. From where I was working from home today, my job, we work at home Mondays and Thursdays, and I didn't get outside and get a clear view of it. So sadly, I missed it.
Well, it's okay. The next one's in 20 years, so no big
Yeah,
deal.
hopefully I'll be alive then.
Just, put it in your calendar. It'll be good. You'll be fine.
All right.
How about you, Smitty? Were you teaching today? Did you get to hop out? and
Yes, I was teaching. All I could see was it got really dark outside my classroom window. That was about it.
No, you must have been closer to the path of totality then.
I guess. And it
You
was
don't care.
really,
You just don't
really,
even care.
it was really cloudy too. So I have a state test coming up in a month, so I didn't have time to go outside.
Yeah. Who does when you only have a month to prepare? All right, Dr. Mounts. I know you saw it because you saved my day and brought me those glasses. Again, I only had 7 years to prepare since the last one. Didn't buy the glasses.
Well, I
Tim
did
Buckner.
see it, but you know what though? The eclipse really reminded me of Dan in our chat with him tonight. I think it's right in his wheelhouse, and I want to know what Dan makes of things like this. There was so much leading up to this eclipse, and this is breaking news. Breaking news, in case you didn't know it. I'm going to try to put it up on the screen. Breaking news, the Atlantic, so much for the apocalypse. The earth shook. The moon temporarily blotted out the sun. The world didn't end.
Mhm.
Dan, I feel like this was
Here we
really
are.
entwined in a lot of UFO stuff. What do you make of all the hysteria leading up to this eclipse?
I don't get it, to be honest with you. It's a mathematical probability that this would occur in a predetermined basis. This was easily predicted for the last 100 years, I'm sure. So I don't understand why this seems significant. If it had occurred outside of a predicted path time or anything, that's when I think we should be worried. That's when some mothership is getting between us and the sun and the eclipse isn't anticipated. That's when we should be worried. For this one, I don't particularly get it.
When the mothership eclipses the sun. I like that.
Yeah, it does illustrate the dangers, though, of how easy it is to engage the masses now on different topics and how easy it is to, for people to go astray. So very interesting phenomena.
I just
Yeah.
know that I've been eclipsing mounts since I've known him. Professionally.
Dan, you're gonna love
Look.
the dynamic between Smitty and
Professionally.
Is it a big brother, little brother relationship? That's what I'm picking up
Looks-wise,
on.
I
I
mean,
can't tell, man. I really can't.
I could follow up on that whole eclipse in the shadow thing, but I'm not going to.
We'll just let that one be.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's pretty even, man. It's honest, at least CJ knows a lot better, but I feel like it's a pretty even matchup here.
It's pretty even. It is indeed. Yeah, I was very excited about the eclipse. Obviously, not excited enough to purchase the glasses. I kept thinking about doing it and never did it. And then I spent a long time making a cereal box with a viewfinder for my children to look through. And then, of course, one wasn't enough. So I had to make 3. And then once I made 3, they didn't care anymore. And then Tim came with the glasses and they all looked for about a second. And they're like, meh, looks like a crescent moon. All right. And they moved on. But I enjoyed it. So all good. Good stuff. All right, let's dive into the meat of our show because that is indeed why we are all here. And DJ, I'm going to toss it to you for our first segment.
Dan, I'm kind of curious if you, well, I left out the part where I'm so glad that you invited someone on who's nearly as good looking and intelligent as me. And the reason I'm getting this shot in now is because I promise you, Dan will take shots at me as the show goes on. He does every time. So, and they're very well timed as well. I don't even see him coming really. Anyway, no, Dan, all kidding aside, I'm curious if you were to encapsulate your reason for doing all this. You know, you've become a prolific content creator on TikTok and an aggregator of news. So if you were to encapsulate all that and maybe even put it into a sentence, I'm doing this because
I want to be a doer, not just a viewer. That would be how I break it down as to my motivation behind actually. There was a comment that Lou Elizondo made on that UFO podcast many, many years ago, where I felt like he was talking to each and every one of us, but it resonated with me loudly. And he said, get your ass off the couch and get involved. And so at that point, I was like, well, if I'm as interested in this topic as I am, if I want to be part of one of the biggest potential moments in the history of mankind, how much louder of an invitation do I need to hear before I get up and start doing something? So I decided to start trying to figure out how I could contribute to the conversation. And this was the format that I found that was neglected. A lot of times I'll tell people, like, I got into this because I started making this type of video because it was so easy using TikTok, because everything that you needed was in one device, one platform, one app. But the other true reason is there was a lack of competition. And that's my way to succeed is there's so many people that are so much more talented at making YouTube videos and long form podcasts than I am, but no one was making short form, what I call fast food type UFO content. And so that's what I decided to focus on, and it's paid off pretty well. And my involvement has grown organically over the last several years to where I've now recently been able to interview a congressman in person. I'm getting to go and speak at the Cosmic Summit in Greensboro in June. I'm getting to go to the Contact in the Desert with a media pass, and I'll be able to give like a behind the scenes look to people. So it's just something that's been growing organically, and it all started because I got my ass off the couch and got involved.
Can I follow up though? Because you're starting to get at where I was actually going, which was the let me close Signal because apparently it's trying to make my computer shut down. Okay, it was the why, and you started to get it because you mentioned one of the greatest events in mankind, and that's kind of where I was going. Is I'm doing it like you kind of laid out in greater detail why you chose the medium that you did, and that you felt a call to action. But there's a larger context here I was trying to get to is that is motivating you.
As far as the phenomenon in general, it starts a long time ago, back when I was single digits and I was a borderline insomniac, laying awake at night, staring at a ceiling and just letting I've always had racing thoughts. And so that's what would happen. I would lay awake at night, staring at the ceiling, just thinking. And then I started thinking about infinity and the concept of it and what it means in relationship to my existence. And I'll be honest, like it's one of the most terrifying things that you can think about is the infinite amount of time that's ahead of us and the infinite amount of time that's behind us. How does that work? But then I started thinking about the infinite amount of space around us. If it is infinite, I can't say I know for sure. But then I started thinking about, is it really that empty? Is it really just us? And so then that's when you start thinking about, well, maybe there's another version of us somewhere out there. And how would they communicate with us if that's what they wanted to do? And is that's where the UFO phenomena started creeping in. I always tell people I think the most credible UFO documentary is probably the Transformers Hasbro version from the 1980s, because they are autonomous mechanical beings with sentient intelligence and consciousness inside of them. And they came to Earth and visited. So that's what I think the first round of aliens would probably be, is a transformer of some sort.
Thank you.
It's what we sent to Mars. I mean, we sent a probe that turned into a helicopter.
Awesome. That's true. Yeah, that's absolutely true. And Dan, forgive me, I didn't share with everybody when we started, but the name of your TikTok and your brand and your Instagram is the 5th pillar of emphasis, right?
Correct.
Okay. And that came from Lou Elizondo as well?
That's another hat tip to Lou Elizondo. He came out and listed 5 pillars of emphasis. There's nothing we can do about the 4 first ones: legislative engagement, senior executive engagement, academic engagement, and then I want to say it's like global engagement. The 5th pillar of emphasis is engaging the masses, engaging the public. And I always tell people, you are one of the people that can contribute to the 5th pillar of emphasis. You can engage with the masses in whatever way, shape, or form you choose. And the upwelling of support, the rising tide will lift all boats kind of approach to making this moment that we're experiencing in mankind's history more prevalent in everyone's thinking and day-to-day activities. Like if you just speak your voice is going to resonate with someone that mine won't. CJ, you're a mother. I'm not. There are mothers out there that are going to go, what is she talking about? They're not going to resonate with me
all the time.
Yeah. So we each need to use our voice to contribute to this conversation. And I always say, like, the UFO topic has a relatability problem. I only am vocal on this world because I felt like I could relate to Ben and Joe from UFO Garage. That's what they gave me the confidence to come on their show, because they seem like some dudes I'd want to hang out with. Not everyone's going to want to hang out with me. Some people are going to want to hang out with Smitty. So it's going to take all of us.
About that.
Well, I mean,
I was giving them the benefit of the doubt. But we're all going to contribute. We're all going to have someone that relates to us. And it's going to make this weird UFO topic more relatable, more human, if we all speak up.
Absolutely.
And CJ, if you don't mind me jumping in here real quick, I want to give a shout out to all our listeners on Twitter right now and YouTube. Please, if you haven't already, make sure to hit the subscribe button. We are in a pursuit of 1,000 subscribers on YouTube right now, and we have some Area 51 coffee company to give away to when that happens, to one lucky subscriber. And please comment, please like, please share. It really helps us defeat the evil algorithms that are trying to prevent disclosure. And we have a super chat in the house, and I want to put that up. So thank you so much to Christian Morales on YouTube. We really appreciate you. Christian says, yeah, DJ Dan Warren in the freaking house. Let's go. Woo! Hello to the beautiful lady and the other two gentlemen.
You're going to make me blush.
And you know what? I hate to tell CJ, but this is a fact. The people that love UFOs, the people that love this topic, this is their NCAA championship game. This right here tonight. It's not on the TV. This is where the interesting chat and video and conversation is. So thank you so much to Christian Morales with the super chat, on
Thanks,
YouTube, and I
Christian.
Thank you,
I
Christian.
love
Thank
getting
you.
the house pumped up like that. Thank you so
Yes,
much.
I do feel so lucky to have DJ and Dan here together. And one thing that I was thinking about, Dan, is what you said that, I have a lot of female friends around my age, and most of them don't talk about UFOs on a day-to-day basis. And when I do bring it up, sometimes I get a little bit of like, wait, what? That's what you do? Are you sure that's you? Generally speaking, a lot more guys are willing to talk about it, have that conversation with me. I'm seeing the female network grow, but a lot more slowly than men. But what happens when you encounter somebody that's just not a believer at all? How do you approach those people that think that this is just nonsense?
You're not going to convert someone by having a conversation with them about UFOs. There's people that are set in their ways, and so you got to be realistic. Like I put information out there hoping that it piques someone's interest to where they would dig into it themselves. People are going to discover it on their own, or they're not going to believe you. It's the sad fact of it. If I encounter someone that wants to discuss it with me and counterpoint me, I have to admit I could be 100% wrong about everything that I think is actually going on. I think that's an honest approach to it. Even though I do think, and I hate to use the word believe, even though I do think there's something to all of this, I have to admit that I could be fooled, that I could be wrong. And I have to take that other person's opinion into consideration as well. Maybe they're right. And maybe if I do that, they will in turn take my viewpoint into consideration, that maybe they're wrong and that I could have some truth into and my interpretation of what we're experiencing. So that's what I would recommend, is don't be confrontational. Listen to their argument and genuinely think about it and consider it, and then hope that in turn they're willing to do the same for you.
Awesome. When you are doing your TikTok and engaging the masses, does there seem to be a certain topic related to UFOs that people are more drawn to or shy away from when you see in your likes and your shares?
People love videos of UFOs. If you put on anything, even if it's CGI, people eat that up. Unfortunately, I'm not the kind of guy that likes to put that up, because I will freely admit I am not a video expert. I cannot break down a video and tell you if it's CGI or fake or anything about it. So that's not something I personally feel comfortable doing. I make certain types of videos for trying to get people to follow my channels, and those are going to be the short form content that kind of play on the pop culture at the time. So if you can kind of interweave the Miami Mall aliens that occurred at the beginning of the year, and then turn around and say, but if you want real news about the UFO phenomenon, follow my channel, that'll work. I'm willing to use those types of weird things as leverage, I guess, to try to get more attention to the legitimate aspects of this topic, because unfortunately the crazier the story, the more clicks you're going to get. But I don't cover stuff that I consider out of where there's no receipts. I want to have receipts associated with anything that I cover, where I can say, don't take it from me. Here's the news article, or here's the newspaper clipping from 1952 that backs up what I'm saying right now. So I try to make sure that I present something that a UFO nerd would look at, listen to, and go, he's actually making a good argument. But I do occasionally make some for people that are just interested in these offshoot topics, and say, like, all right, I got to address it. I don't think this is legit, but if you want to know what I do think is legit, check these out.
So the Miami Mall incident that you brought up, that's interesting. We didn't discuss that on this show, guys. And I only heard about it, which is shocking, a few weeks ago. A friend told me, a female friend actually told me, I'm like, what are you talking about? Because every time something happens in UFO news, I get all sorts of text messages and emails and Instagram stuff. And I didn't hear anything about this until recently. So can you just share real quickly for our listeners what the Miami Mall alien incident was?
Oh, man. I'll tell you my interpretation of it. We're going to split the room, I'm sure. there was a bunch of teenagers that went to this mall in Miami. It's an outdoor open mall, and shenanigans ensued. Somebody started shooting fireworks off, and they called in I can't remember what the code was, like a 601 or something. And that's basically the call that the police department puts out when they say all hands on deck. And so all these cops showed up at this Miami mall, and there's video and it looks like a mile's worth of police cars with their lights on, their sirens blaring, just lined up alongside this mall. That kind of died down. And then a day later, 2 days later, rumors started swirling. People started coming out and saying that response was over the top. It wasn't for teenagers. It was for these 10, I hate saying it, guys. It was for these 10-foot alien shadow creatures that were at the mall walking around.
Don't be ashamed to say it.
And so that just started snowballing, and then people started making videos saying, I was at the mall, I saw this for myself, this was legit. And then 2 days later they'd be like, I was just kidding. And then someone else would come in and say that they saw it and here's some video of it, and it none of it added up, in my opinion. And it just seems too ridiculous. Someone even said that they saw some kids pull something out of one of the stores that looked like a DVD player and hit it, and it opened up a portal. It's like I said, I hate talking about it.
Okay,
but that's what the rumors were.
But whatever was going out in terms of news must have been pretty believable, because my friend really believed that this happened, that there were aliens in this mall. So credit to whoever made that content.
Well, it's a very similar story. Yeah, it's a very similar story, and I feel like they happen really close to each other in proximity, chronologically too. The Las Vegas UFOs in the backyard that met up with the pistol packing family.
It was that close together. That was a long time ago.
But it's still a very similar story, right? So you have this really interesting story about aliens and UFOs, but it's blended with actual news, and that one was so fascinating, Dan, I thought, because here you have this random police body cam footage that literally shows something bizarre streaking through the sky right before the family calls in. I mean, some of this stuff you just can't make up, right?
I would label that as a coincidence until proven otherwise. The thing that ruined it for me is I worked for Caterpillar on large wheel loaders, and they had some of those in the backyard. And one of the claims was, well, it put down this circular pattern in the gravel. And I looked at it, I was like, that is when someone takes an articulated large wheel loader and just cranks it over to one side, and you can just sit there and do donut after donut after donut. And that's what someone did. And then it got attributed to this encounter that doesn't hold a lot of water for me. I'd be happy to be proven wrong, but there's nothing there that's evidence enough, solid evidence enough to make me change my mind that it's file it under anecdotal at this point.
A counter David Grush story, basically, is what it was. Let's counter this guy who just came out and hit the media, and is extremely credible and has a near impeachable credentials, if there is such a thing. And
but I don't want to besmirch. I don't want to besmirch the good name of the people, the family that was involved. I don't know if they have any idea what was going on. Maybe they saw something. Maybe they misinterpreted it. Maybe they're giving us the honest truth as they see it. But for it to be what they're claiming, it's just hard for me to swallow that pill.
Dan, do you believe that with all of recent footage and all of the news media's interest in UAPs, now that people are seeing aliens behind every bush in the sky more frequently than they ever have?
I don't know if it's seeing it more or being, like CJ said, more willing to talk about it. Maybe maybe it's been a fairly consistent amount of exposures, but if you were a pilot 10 years ago and you said something about it, you would go to the psych ward and get evaluated, get a psych test. Versus saying it now, they're encouraging it. So are we just in a different time where people are more open and willing to talk about it, or is there a ramp up in it? But I think that people are also, just like during COVID, UFO sightings went up, because of people being at home, outside, looking in the sky, and having more time on their hands to do stuff like that. So it could be a multitude of different factors that are contributing to what you're describing. I would think that if people are starting to come around to the thought that we aren't alone, people are going to be outside looking more. And so they're going to find more. I go in my backyard and I look in the sky. I've got a night vision monocular that I bring with me, and it definitely opens up the night sky. It's more fun to do something like that now that you think you might catch something. Whereas 10 years ago, you'd feel like you were just out there wasting time.
Looking
But
at
now
the
it seems like there's
stars.
a chance. Yeah.
And even at then, when you said 10 years ago, if you did see something, chances are you probably, like you said, wouldn't tell anybody to begin with.
Correct.
For fear of and being ostracized or something. So
I'm still
Well,
not sure that I'd tell anybody. I mean, honestly, I've got to fit in and get through this life. And I don't know.
Well,
do think
I
like,
was
come
on,
I'm brave.
I've been on Twitter since 2016, and until just before I started making videos, probably about 4 or 5 years ago, I was an avatar. I was talking about UFOs, but I didn't want anyone to know what I look like. I didn't want anyone to know what my real name was because I was ashamed. I was embarrassed. I was afraid of ridicule and the stigma being attached to me. Even though I was talking to other dudes that were all about discussing UFOs, it was still the stigma had gotten to me. And then I eventually felt like I needed to make a change and felt like if I was going to contribute, I needed to be who I am instead of being Kodos from The Simpsons. And so I put my actual face as my profile pic and I used my real name. And it felt like a weight lifted off my shoulders because I didn't feel like I was pretending. I didn't feel like I had to be ashamed. Not using my face made me feel like I was ashamed. So what did I have to be ashamed about? So I started putting my face out there, putting my name out there. I was very nervous for the first month, but then after that, it was like, meh, everybody already knows who I am now. And it wasn't a big deal at that point.
Among all of us, though, I think Tim would look best with the blue skin pigmentation, in my opinion.
The true avatar.
Yes. Yes.
I can't disagree with that.
I think it just looked like
it's Tar Heel blue too, right? So it would fit in perfectly at Chapel Hill.
I'd just call him Grumpy Smurf after that.
My kids call him Grumpy, right? That's their nickname for him.
I didn't know that.
Yes. Oh gosh, my 2-year-old, every time he sees Tim, Grumpy.
Oh, such a nice guy.
Well, Christian Morales chimed in and said, "Dude, I felt like such a hypocrite. My son was watching a YouTube video about this guy and a bird. It's a video for children. He's 3, and this guy was making fun of the bird for believing in Bigfoot."
What?
That's rough.
Yeah, it's really funny. There are a lot of UFO people that really just give Bigfoot a hard time and just think it's ridiculous and it's absurd and it's not real. And I think Dan knows of a couple senators that have seen them, both from the state of Kentucky. And it's just, there's so many thousands of witnesses. Like I said, and if you're using the standard of evidence in a criminal trial, you have a conviction with Bigfoot every single time, and you have a conviction with UFOs every single time. No matter how you cut it, it's a conviction. It's just there's just too much evidence to say it doesn't exist. So that's my approach, stitching back to what you asked Dan, and I could just start naming off legislation and the whole 9 yards, and then the military pilots, and then Lou, and then Christopher, and then all the sightings from all these just straight up civilians and all over the world. And it's just like, okay, it's not a question. I'm not even entertaining whether or not there's a thing. There's a thing. We just don't know where that thing is coming from, nor what its intentions are.
But that's the exciting part, right?
Sure.
We'd all be out of a job if we knew what that thing was. They'd be done with us.
I got to beat feet though. Dan, is good seeing you, sir.
Always a pleasure, DJ.
Always a pleasure. Yeah, I don't know what we had last time we booked you on cab. I don't know what happened. I think you ended up having to reschedule, I think, right?
I don't remember either. It's been too long.
Man. Give me a call.
Just go ahead and work that out right now if you need to.
Smitty, no, it's all right. I got his number. I can get a hold of him. Smitty, you apparently CJ and Tim are sending you TDY down to Pascagoula to meet up with Charles Hickson's son and get the real spiel, Mississippi style.
There you
He's
go.
like, what?
Would be neat.
Smitty's first field operation.
Yeah, this is going to be your first op, man.
That's where the squirrel went berserk too.
And
Ray
the First
Stevenson.
Baptist Church. No, the First something church.
Self-righteous church.
Yeah, that one.
All right. Anyway,
It's good to always see you.
Thanks, CJ.
Hey, thanks a lot, man. Thanks a lot. It was so good seeing you guys. Bye, Tim. Bye, CJ.
You too.
Peace. We'll see you soon.
Yeah.
See
Okay.
ya.
Thank you for the invite. Bye, Dan.
See you, man.
Shout
right.
out to our good friends, UFO Busters, that show Australia, who said, hello,
yeah.
guys. Much love from Sydney, Australia. I can't do an Australian accent, but thank you so much.
What's been your biggest success as far as platform goes is disseminating information to the masses about UFOs or UAPs?
Oh, without doubt, it's been TikTok. Like it is a force multiplier when it comes to communicating to the masses because it puts your information out in front of a group of people that isn't actively pursuing this information. So not like if the people that do like your content are watching it, it puts it in front of additional people that might find it interesting or might not find it interesting. But it is, you're more likely to go viral on TikTok than anything else, at least in my experience. But the benefit I have of making short form content, which is typically about 2 to 8 minutes long, is any social media platform will accept video now. So I can put it on Threads, I can put it on Instagram, I can put it on Twitter and YouTube. And so I'm not limited to one particular app or anything like that anymore. But TikTok has definitely been my most successful.
Yeah, and if you don't follow Dan on TikTok, you're one of few people who don't, but he's the 5th pillar of emphasis on TikTok. Isn't that right, Dan?
Yes, sir.
5th pillar of emphasis. And this is one of your pinned videos here. And I just
I'm
love
sure you
it.
love watching yourself, huh? Here we
It's
go.
so hard to listen.
I'm just a
audio
normal
is the
guy.
worst part.
I live in a normal house.
I don't know. I think the audio is pretty good.
I have 2 normal kids.
Hi, girls.
Joey!
Hi, girls.
Normal.
I have a normal wife.
You filming me?
I have a slightly odd dog. I got 2
Aw.
engineering degrees for what that's worth. I like
Hey,
old cars more than new
You're
cars.
reverse engineering UFOs. It might be
I
worth
still
it.
like playing basketball. And I think Jordan's the GOAT, but I think
Yes.
that LeBron has had the best NBA career ever. And I'm also completely fascinated by the complexity of the UFO phenomenon. And I believe that we're at a major milestone in the history of humanity that's unfolding in front of all of us right now. And we all have a front row seat as this history plays out in front of us in real time. But hardly anyone is even paying attention.
But I just think that that's so relatable.
Yeah.
I think that's one reason people
Especially
love
the
them.
popcorn. It made me very hungry.
And I'm so
And I
glad
don't
you
even
said
like popcorn,
popcorn's the
full disclosure. It's not my favorite. I immediately gave it to my kids to finish off the thing afterwards.
I'm with you on that. I'm with you.
Oh my gosh,
kids and
I'm in a
wife eat
room
it all
full
the
of
time.
popcorn
Yes.
haters. What is
Yeah.
this?
There's
I don't
better
hate it.
alternatives for
Yeah.
late night snacks.
Ice cream.
It's because I want to do my part. During a recent
Here's
interview
another
on That
pinned
UFO podcast,
video
Lou
from
Elizondo
Dan
went into
that's very
detail about the
popular.
plan him and Chris Mellon
And he
put
talked a
together
little bit
for
about
trying to
this
move this
earlier.
topic forward. Chris and Lou are doing the heavy lifting when it comes to the execution of this plan, including
But
Yeah,
those
that's the
videos are just
video about
fantastic.
why am I the 5th pillar of emphasis. And so I
Okay.
basically
Yep.
explain what the 5 pillars of emphasis are in that one. That one that where I say I'm just a normal guy, that one got like 600,000 views. And that one is so what I feel like short form videos help you do is establish a relationship with your audience that you might not find on YouTube. If you notice when you watch my videos, I try to say the word you within the first 5 words because I'm trying to create a relationship with the people that are actually, I don't like to call them my followers. I like to call them my family, my TikTok family, my Twitter family. I want it to feel like I'm talking directly to them when I make these videos. So if you do notice, most of my videos have the word "you" in the first 5 words. So I'm just trying to make sure that that's something that makes people feel comfortable talking about it, because it feels like more like a one-on-one than anything else.
I feel like Tim brought you on this show just to have this conversation to me directly because I feel like such a boomer. I'm not on TikTok. I've never been on TikTok. I thought Instagram and Threads was the same thing. Is it not?
It's close. It is. Threads is the Twitter version of Instagram, more or less. But
Threads is the Twitter version.
I'm not. I'll be honest. I'm not the biggest fan of Threads, but I don't spend a whole heck of a lot of time on it either.
Gotcha. Okay. I know. I guess I got to start making TikTok. Represent the female ufologists out there.
I don't even have a
recommend it.
TikTok, so I guess I need to get on that.
We do. We need to get on
Yeah,
TikTok.
I mean, who needs 2 co-hosts that go viral spreading, news about the podcast? I don't.
Well, let me ask you a question, Dan. Have you had any kickback with some viewers about what you delve into as far as UAPs, UFOs, alien life forms?
The beginning was brutal. When I first started making videos, you're going to learn that you receive positive feedback, but you receive a little bit of harsh, cruel, negative feedback. And unfortunately, it's human nature to focus and fixate on that negative feedback. So there's people that will say mean things about the way that you make your videos, what you're talking about, and it just sticks with you longer than all the positive things that people say. So that there were people that would say things about the topic in general, and they still do. There's still people that say this is all Project Bluebeam, this is all going to be fake alien invasion, holograms, things like that. It's all this or it's all that, or you're just all foolish. But what you have to learn to be a long-term, long game player in making any type of video content is just ignore the negative and focus on the nice things that people are saying. And when someone does say something negative, if they're critiquing the type of the content and not just you, try to listen to what try to listen for what the message is. Don't listen to the messenger, if that makes sense. Like if they say, hey, your video sucks because of this, that, and the other, don't listen to your video sucks part. Try to listen to the part where they say, because your audio's breaking in and out or something, or your brightness is too high on your video, or you're playing the music too loud. Those are some things that you learn by the negative comments, and kind of try to turn a negative into a positive. But yeah, people will always be harsh on if they think that they know that aliens, UFOs, none of that exists, that you're just a fool if you spend any time and effort on it. Then those people are always going to be there. And I always remind them, like, I'm not just doing this. Like, I've got 2 degrees. I've got a successful career. I restored a Mustang, not a Mustang, a Ford Bronco. I got a wicked jump shot. I got all kinds of things that I do besides just
you let
make
them know
UFO
about
content.
that jump shot.
So, like, it's not all just this is what I do for a living. This is like a hobby that I have that I find incredibly interesting and enthralling and intellectually stimulating. That's what I like about this the most. And it's mysterious. There's that sense of mystery in this topic that you don't commonly encounter in your day-to-day life. And that's what keeps me coming back. That's what keeps me interested and makes me want to continue to read and learn more about it. And hopefully that I can be part of the solution instead of just part of the population that ignores what's going on around me. I want to open my aperture.
Wait a minute. Dan, you mean to tell me your daily life doesn't include getting thousands of mean messages from people across the country?
Just hundreds.
I know CJ. Just hundreds. I know CJ was thinking the same thing I did when you brought that up. So we had one platform seems to be especially cruel to us. I don't know why, but Facebook Reels seems to be especially cruel. But yet we had something go viral on there the other day. I don't know why. It just was very random, right? And CJ, I told CJ, like, the comments just keep coming, right? My phone's blowing up. She said, oh yeah, can you show me the comments? And so I did, and
Okay,
I
it's not
started
on
realizing
Facebook,
like,
so-
holy cow, this is like 8,000 mean comments. Like
Hey,
I
they
saw
still help the algorithm, though. I'll tell you that much.
exactly. I don't tell them that, but you're right. Like here's one. I saw this thing on the internet, so it must be true. Says every single conspiracy theorist. And I love this one from listener Zach. I don't know if they're actually a listener though. Yeah, and I hang out with John Legend from time to time, and he told me he's a lizard man, and he uses portals to go to and fro. I know. And it just went on and on and on. So go figure. But there were a few positive ones too.
That's kind of mean, but that was kind of funny.
Yeah. You got to recognize jokes, like good jokes, when they're there, even if they're at your expense. So sometimes I just got to be like, that was a good one, man. You got me.
Wow.
And we still get a lot of love from Australia. So thank you, UFO Busters.
Yes. Yeah, the topic is very intellectually stimulating, though. Like you said, I think before I did this podcast, I just thought, this is all just lore. This is all just make believe. I don't know why. What more is there to say than like there's a UFO in the sky? And then once you start digging deeper into it and just the universe in general and astrophysics and what we still don't know, it's all very exciting. And when you do start talking to these brilliant minds out there, like Kevin Knuth, like Dr. Chuck Liu, like Avi Loeb, and how excited they are about the possibilities, it's infectious. You can't not want to know more.
Absolutely. It is shocking how many intelligent minds are involved in this conversation. And one other thing that I've learned by meeting people that you don't see on any platform, they don't make video content, but they're just highly intelligent, well-versed people on this topic that have successful careers and are just beautiful minds, just like the rest of us. So it's shocking to me how many people with high intellects are in this topic. And don't get me wrong, there are people with colorful personalities that are also deeply involved in this topic that kind of are the ones we worry about getting in front of cameras more. But there's a lot of really smart dudes and dudettes in this conversation.
Dudettes. My uncle used to call me Dudette back in the day. Love that. All right. For those who are tuning in, we have got Dan Warren with us. He is from the Fifth Pillar of Emphasis. Dan, one thing that we'd love to do on every episode is our hot takes section, where Tim will throw a few ideas at you, and we just want to get your quick hot take on what you think about the topic. So I'm going to throw it to Tim for that.
That's right. This is our Area 51 Coffee Company hot take segment. Get yours tonight. As a matter of fact, at area51coffeeco.com. And Dan, we brought this up earlier. What's your hot take on Bigfoot?
That there's something there. I don't want to say I believe in Bigfoot, but I think there's something there. I think the Patterson-Gimlin film is legit. That's the basis of that's the anchor in my thinking that there's something to it. But I've listened to so many of the Sasquatch Chronicle podcast, firsthand witness testimonies. I listened to all of them. And there's just so many variations of a story that if people are making this stuff up, the ability of these people to write scripts and regurgitate them at will is phenomenal. And our movies in Hollywood would be a lot better if these people were involved, because of how nuanced their individual stories are. So the sheer amount of witness testimony, none of it being identical cookie cutter types of encounters, very, very specific to the individual, gives me the hope that there is something mysterious in our woods that's hopefully not terribly scary and terrifying.
To be continued. All things unexplained.
What's your hot take on Travis Taylor?
I've got an exclusive for you guys if you want it about the Alaska.
We do.
Okay.
Dr. Taylor was revealed to be the chief scientist of the UAP task force with the Pentagon.
So some of that, I think, sir, will save for closed session.
All Things Unexplained is free to watch on YouTube and listen to wherever you get your podcasts. If you would like to support our show, you can visit our YouTube store. Additionally, you can find us on Venmo under All Things Unexplained. Be sure to check out our website, allthingsunexplained.com. All proceeds from the sales of Dr. Mounce's books on Amazon and Audible also go straight to our show.